How to hide dyed hair from your parents. Dyeing your hair can be a fun and unique way to express yourself. However, it may be the case that your parents don't want you to dye your hair. If you still want to take the risk and try to dye your hair, learning more about the process can help you get the hair color you want and keep it a secret. Part 1. Considering dyeing your hair. 1. Think about the risks and rewards. Before you decide to dye your hair in secret, take a moment to consider going forward. Dyeing your hair could get you into some trouble with your parents, and it will likely be difficult to hide from them. Consider if dyeing your hair is something you want to do, despite any consequences you might expect. Consider your parents' reaction if they caught you with dyed hair. What might they say or think? Think about how it might be difficult to dye your hair in secret and then keep it hidden. Ask yourself if the new hair color is worth it. 2. Try not to dye your hair a drastically different color. It's more likely that you will be caught if you dye your hair an extremely different color than what your hair is normally. Try to dye your hair a color that isn't so different from your normal color to avoid being caught. Dyeing your hair slightly darker or lighter won't draw too much attention and may help you keep it hidden. Drastically changing your hair color, especially to an unusual color such as purple, will be very difficult to hide. 3. Consider getting a dye that washes out easily. Some hair dyes are very long-lasting, requiring you to wait for it to grow out, cutting it out, or dyeing over it. Other hair dyes don't last as long and can be washed out if needed. Consider using less temporary hair dye to lower your chances of getting caught and to allow you to remove it easily if you are. The longer your hair is dyed, the greater your chances of being discovered are. Temporary dyes can be removed by washing them out of your hair. Permanent hair dyes cannot be washed out. Part 2. Keeping your dyed hair secret. 1. Decide how you are going to dye your hair. Before you actually dye your hair, you will need to select a style and color that you are most comfortable with. Certain styles or colors will be easier than others to keep a secret. Review the following examples of hair dye styles to get an idea of which one you might want to try. A drastic change or unnatural color will be very difficult to keep hidden. Getting a single streak of color can be a good way to dye your hair and keep it secret. You might consider getting highlights. Highlights can give your hair a new look while still blending in, giving you the chance to keep them hidden. Dyeing your hair a slightly different color than your natural shade can be a good way to keep your new color hidden. 2. Dye your hair. Once you have selected the new hair color you are interested in, it's time to dye your hair. You can visit a professional hairstylist to dye your hair for you or try to dye your hair yourself with a store-bought kit. Both options have their pros and cons, so consider which method would work best for you. Dyeing your hair at home with a kit can be done. However, using a home dye kit can also increase the chance of undesirable results. The chemicals used in hair dye can be harmful if applied incorrectly. Misusing a home hair dye kit can result in injury. Visiting a hairstylist can get you great results, but may cost more than a home dye kit. Some hairstylists might require a parent's permission before they will dye your hair. 3. Cover up any smells from the hair dye. Most hair dyes will have a distinct odor that most anyone can smell. If your parents use the bathroom after you are done dyeing your hair, or even walk by the room, there is a chance they may smell it. Cover up the scent or work to remove it to prevent anyone from smelling the dye. Turning on a fan or vent can help pull the scent of the hair dye out of the room. You may be able to use perfumes or deodorizing sprays to cover up the smell. 4. Make sure you clean up after dyeing your hair. After you finish dyeing your hair, you will need to clean up your hair, scalp and the bathroom. Making sure that you clean up all evidence that you dyed your hair can help keep you from being caught. Fully clean up the area after you are done dyeing your hair. Don't leave any dye packaging out in the open or on top of the trash. Make sure none of the dye has dripped onto the floor, sink, or has been left on any towels. You may have some dye stains on your ears or scalp. Try to wash these off or cover them up until they fade. Make sure the shower is cleaned up and there are no dye drops or stains left. 5. Cover your hair up. If you have dyed your hair, you will need to keep it hidden. By covering up your new hair color, you can help avoid or at least delay getting caught by your parents. Try wearing some of your favorite hats, hooded sweatshirts, or bandanas to keep your newly dyed hair a secret. If anyone asks why you are wearing a hood constantly, you might try saying you've been feeling chilly lately. Hats are easier to wear outdoors and may look more normal there, drawing less attention. Part 3. Asking your parents. 1. Discuss dyeing your hair. You might want to try openly asking your parents about dyeing your hair. Even if you suspect that they might not allow you to dye your hair, you may be surprised by their answer. By asking your parents, you will know exactly where they stand on the issue. Your parents may actually allow you to dye your hair. You could also learn how seriously they feel about the issue. If your parents are strongly opposed to you dyeing your hair, you should consider this before dyeing your hair in secret. 2. Be ready to compromise. If your parents won't allow you to dye your hair even after you asked, you might still be able to negotiate a compromise. Talk with your parents to learn if there are any options that you can both agree to when it comes to dyeing your hair. There may be another color that you are both comfortable with. Your parents may agree to a temporary dye. Try asking for something simple such as highlights or a color streak. 3. Ask for help. If your parents agree to letting you dye your hair, you should have help when you do so. Either have your parents help you or take you to a professional hairstylist to make sure your hair dye is applied correctly and safely. Getting some help will allow your new hair color to look the best it can. Tips. Try to dye your hair a color that is close to your natural color. Keep your dyed hair covered up as much as you can by wearing a hat or something like it. Try openly asking your parents about dyeing your hair as they may agree to it. Avoid doing colors that are bright and colorful such as bright red, pink, blue, green, purple, etc. Do colors that are close to your natural hair color. Warnings. You are likely to get caught by your parents. Dyeing your hair by yourself can result in a different color than you expected or even injury. Things. Hair dye. A hat, hood, or something else to use to cover your hair.